Hello? Hello?
Hey, Mr. Price.
Hey, how you doing? Let me turn something down. Okay, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure everybody can everybody hear me?
Tommy, I'm gonna hang up.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
All right, bye.
Okay. It looks like we have a quorum here. Okay, so is everybody able to participate audio, audio? All right, so Heather, so if you have Mr. Grady, can you hear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Yankee,
Yes, I can hear.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Carlisle. I hear Mr. Crooks.
Here.
Mr. Branham.
I'm here.
Mr. Gilchrist. Mr. Gilchrist. Okay, and Tommy DeLay, you can hear me, Kurt. You?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're just waiting for the chair to get on board. I know he's been trying.
Is Gio still on the line?
I think he put us on hold.
Yes, I'm here. I'm trying to get in contact with the chair. Okay, I see you now, Mr. Chair. Can you hear us?
It appears Mr. Gilchrist and Mr. Carlisle do not have audio. They have video, but no audio joined.
Okay.
They may need to dial in with a phone.
Okay, the chair is reaching out now to come in by audio.
All right, I just submitted someone that called in.
This is Stephen Gilchrist.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gilchrist.
Good afternoon. Well, are we ready to rock and roll here?
I believe so, whenever you're ready to call the meeting to order.
Okay, I'm ready to go. Okay, we'd like to call the June 1st meeting to order. Please allow me to read into the record. In accordance with the Freedom of Information Act, a copy of the agenda was sent to radio, TV stations, newspapers, and persons requesting notification and posted on the bulletin board located in the County Administration Building. So we thank all of you for joining us here today on our Zoom call, our first Zoom call. And I want to thank the staff for being able to get all of our commissioners connected to this opportunity and to the public. And hopefully in the future, we may be able to do more of these kinds of interactions with the public. So thank you for being a part of our agenda today. The first item on our agenda is our consent agenda. Can I get a motion from our commissioners on the consent agenda, please?
I know this is usually when I sort of step in and ask if there's anyone, turn my music down. Anybody that wants to remove. Oops. About that, I got the music going the wrong way. We have on the consent agenda to address the minutes, the road names, and then map amendments. So we will pull from the consent agenda item 1, as well as item 3 and item 7. So those were ones that staff did disapproval. Are there any other of the agenda items that we need to pull? And that's either input from other commission members or if the public voiced opposition.
Okay, hearing none, is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I'm just, okay, so I will make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as offered in our packet, removing from the consent agenda map amendment case 1, 3, and 7.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor signify by raising your hand. And I guess we can see each other.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir. Right.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. I was muted. I would, just for clarification, we want to make sure that we understand that case 20-13MA, which is item number C3. The applicant have requested a deferral of that matter, and that has been deferred, so that would not need to be under the consent agenda.
Okay.
And also under the minutes, and I think you may have stated this, but for the presentation of minutes for approval, you would just be approving the February 2020 minutes and not the March 2020 because those were not given to you.
Oh, I had 2 packets. But okay.
Okay. All right. So, Heather, do you want to restate your motion?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and amend the motion. So make a motion to approve the consent agenda, offering that we will be approving the February minutes, names, pulling from the agenda case number 20010, map amendment 1, as well as case number 20017, map amendment 7, and some cases.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor signify by raising your hand.
All right, those in favor. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Carnes, Branham, Dave, Dennis, Grady, Yankee, Taylor, Gilchrist.
All opposed? Okay, before we get into the map amendments today, there are 2 items I would just like to mention. I'll ask the staff if there are any specific directions that we need to give to the public about how they participate in our Zoom call. Let's do that at this time. So are there any specific instructions that we need to be aware of as we move forward?
No, I think we can discuss how we're receiving, we decided to receive comments from the public regarding the cases. And we'd be happy to talk about that.
Okay, all right.
And
You wanna
also,
do that?
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, if for those who are not familiar with the consent agenda, if you could explain to those citizens, the applicants that called in for those cases, exactly what that actually meant by your decision to approve those under the consent.
Absolutely. So for those items that were on the consent agenda, those items that were removed from the consent agenda are items that the commission will hear. If your item was not removed from the consent agenda, that means that it was actually on the consent agenda, and you are free to leave the call because it has been approved under consent. And if you wish to stay on the call, you're welcome to do so. All right. Can we get to our first case? Oh, no, before we do that, let me take a point of personal privilege real quickly to just welcome our two new commissioners, Brian Grady and Terrence Taylor. Thank you guys for joining the commission here, and we're so delighted that you are part of a great team of folk who are very dedicated to Richland County. So welcome aboard to the team. And then we also want to take a moment to welcome back Commissioner Frierson, who will be joining us again for another few years on the commission. So thank all of you for your service to the commission and joining a great group. So with that, we can move on to the first case.
All right. First case is case 20-10MA. The applicant is Young M. Han, and hopefully I'm just correct, Kai H. Han. The applicant is requesting to rezone property located at 10804 Two Notch Road from rural to general commercial. Staff recommends disapproval of the request as it is not consistent with the objectives outlined in the comprehensive plan. And within the comprehensive plan, it states that per the plan, non-residential development in the neighborhood medium density designation may be considered for location along main road corridors and within a contextually appropriate distance from the intersection of a primary arterial. The subject property is not located at a traffic junction along an arterial road and at the intersection of a primary arterial. Additionally, approval of the rezoning request would permit uses that are of a scale and intensity that are not consistent with the land use recommendations of the neighborhood commercial scale development. However, staff wants to point out that the requested zoning would be in character with the existing zoning pattern in the general area. However, staff's recommendations are based strictly on what the comprehensive plan calls for in a particular area. But we do like to point out when we see something that's a little different than what the comprehensive plan is recommending.
Okay. Are there any questions for the staff? Have the applicant joined us here today?
No, the applicants, yes, again, Mr. Chair, the applicants will not be verbalizing their presentation. However, what we have asked is that each one of the applicants submit in writing, just as we have with any citizens wishing to make any comments, and so we can read that into the record.
Okay. Did you get anything from the applicant here today other than what you just shared with me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And we will read that to you now.
Okay.
All right, so we have a letter from the applicant, Mr. Han. Says, Dear Richland County Planning Commission, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to request a zoning map amendment. I am writing this letter regarding property at 10804 Two Notch Road. My wife, Ms. Han, has performed alterations and tailoring at this location for more than 10 years. Last December, she had to stop working and close the shop for medical reasons. The property has been vacant since then. Please take into consideration that this location is inconvenient to occupy as residential due to excessive traffic on Two Notch Road, causing a potential safety hazard for children. It is also surrounded by several properties used for commercial purposes. Respectfully, Mr. Hahn.
Okay. Do we have any additional comments from any additional residents regarding this particular amendment, map amendment?
No, sir.
Okay. Questions, comments, motions? Price, I did want to ask a question. It states here that this particular property was rezoned office and institutional. When was that rezoning done on our OI for this particular property?
This would have been case 05-12. Let me pull that file, sir.
Goes on to the east.
And I guess while you're pulling that one, I'd be curious to know that the north of it was the general commercial zoning. I'd be curious to know when that had taken place as well, if you can pull that.
That may not be as readily available to us, sir, but
Okay.
you can see in 88. We're looking for that now.
Okay.
Mr. Price.
Yes, Mr. Crooks.
I believe that, so the OI rezoning was in sometime around 2004, based on what the case file showed.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any additional comments on this particular case? This is another one of those cases to me that is very inconsistent with where the growth in this particular area is taking place, and more specifically, it speaks to why it's so necessary to do what we're doing on some of the code rewrite, and more specifically, what's happening in the conflict between this and these cases in the comprehensive plan. And so I just wanted to mention that, obviously, for those who are familiar with that area, we know that Two Notch Road is not a rural district any longer. And so this is certainly one that we need to think about as we debate what our decision will be. Comment?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Brown.
I just want to echo what you said, and also support the planning department and their recommendation based on a review of the comprehensive plan. The plan being, one of the 4 different factors that we're directed to consider when reviewing a map amendment. The others, in addition to the plan, being the need and the justification, the effect of the change on the property and the surrounding areas, and the amount of land in the general area having the same classification. And so certainly on 2 sides of the property, we've got property zone, general, commercial. The property zoned rural to the south has an auto repair business operating on it. And as was referenced in the applicant's letter, my look at the property did indicate that there was a commercial enterprise being conducted on the subject property. And then you've got that OI parcel actually tucked down on Lockman Road. So a holistic review, I would also be inclined to consider an approval of the application. But I'd like to hear other comments before I would make a motion, if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner Bradford. Any additional comments regarding this particular case, commissioners?
I'm just going to echo off what Mr. Branham said. I agree. We do look at that comprehensive plan, and is one of the things that we are guided by. But in cases like this, the surrounding area might not support the comprehensive plan and the way it's been laid out from past events. So I would make a motion to approve this request.
Okay. And since we're going against the staff's recommendation, Mr. Dennis, Commissioner Dennis, could you give us a little bit more detail about your reasoning for making that particular request? Again, just over the record.
422-0070.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
Yeah.
Did someone say something?
I apologize. That was me, Mr. Chair.
Oh, okay. All right. So does that make sense, Commissioner? Dennis?
Yes, that makes plenty of sense. Reason why I'm recommending approval is because of everything around there. You got the auto repair shop to the south. You got the hair salon across the street. There was a convenience store, I think, directly to the north of it. And I'm not sure the other, what was across there, but everything north of it was general commercial already. And yeah, general commercial. And then the reason why is because it is comprehensive to the original layout that's there now,
Consistent.
or consistent.
Okay. Is there a second on this particular motion?
I'll second it.
I'll second it.
Okay. It's been moved and properly second that we send case number 20-010MA forward to council with a recommendation of approval based upon Mr. and Commissioner Dennis's recommendation and Commissioner Brown. Are there any other discussions? All in favor signify by raising your hand.
All right. Those in favor: Dennis, Grady, Carnes, Yonke, Taylor, Gilchrist, Branham.
Okay. Any opposed? And again, I'm not really sure what council is going to meet on the 23rd, Mr. Price.
It looks like this would be the same process. Excuse me, Mr. Chair. This would be the same process for the zoning public hearing by County Council on the 23rd that the Planning Commission is having today.
Okay, great. So for those that may be listening to our meeting here today, feel free to join us again on the 23rd at that time. Thank you very much. The next case, please.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering if we, and I know this is a little different now because we're doing this virtually, if we could take maybe 2 or 3 minute recess. We do have Ms. Frierson and Mr. Carlisle who've been watching the meeting, but they've been having some difficulties getting on, and we just want to just try to get them on quickly.
Sure, we can do that. Absolutely.
So we just take like a 2 or 3 minute.
Take a 3 minute pause, everybody.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
This is Ms. Frierson.
Yes, how are you?
I am well. How are you? Good to hear your voice.
Thank you. I've been on from the very beginning, and I can hear everything you all are saying, but y'all can't hear me.
Okay, all right.
Go ahead and voted on the last one.
We definitely need to fix that.
Yes, I voted, along with the others to approve. And
Okay.
earlier when we were doing the consent agenda or something, I tried to make a motion, but y'all couldn't hear a thing I was saying.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're on for sure.
Thank you.
And Ms. Frierson, we'll talk about this on the other side, but I owe you a call, so we'll do that today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the other thing is when you all saying raise your hand, I know you can do that through Zoom, but for those of us, not Zoom, whatever we're using, but for those of us who are just listening in, you're going to have to call the name of that person and get the verbal record of how that person voted.
Okay, very good. We'll certainly note that going forward.
Thank you.
Mr. Price, are we ready to go?
I don't know if it's been fixed. Has it been fixed?
Well, we can hear you now. I can hear you.
Mr. Gilchrist.
Okay.
Mr. Gilchrist, we're still working on getting Mr. Carlisle set up. So if you
okay.
could just give us just a couple more minutes.
All right, take your time.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, no. So wait, if I have to type in a response or something, don't close it, right? No, they can hear you talking, right? Yeah, I guess they can. We'll think of something in a bit. And don't leave it up there on the thing. Wrap it up in lots of paper and I'll put it in a garbage can.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Hello?
I'm here. Yeah. Hello.
We lose Gio.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm here with Mr. Carlisle. We found a way for him to participate and to hear.
Okay.
All right, so we can proceed on with the next case.
All right.
Question. Frierson here. Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
They can't hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay. I got a kind of a sound like a recording saying you are muted. As the meeting proceeds, when I want to vote or something, how can I be unmuted? Because I'm not mashing the mute button.
Well, it may be that you just announced your vote, Ms. Frierson. And as we get, and that way, since we can't, I can't see you, so it'll probably be better that you announce your vote when we get to the voting.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Frierson.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Chair, this is Kyle from IT. Ms. Frierson, we muted the phone because a lot of background noise is coming from your phone. If you press *6, it will mute your phone, and you can press *6 to unmute it. If you'd like to raise your hand from an analog line like a couple of you are dialed in on, you can press *9 and it'll raise your hand on the virtual screen as well.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, so *6 to unmute and *9 to vote.
Yes, ma'am. Or you can just use the mute button on your phone. Your phone was injecting a lot of background noise. And so we just
Okay.
mute them here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, very good. Is that good? Are we ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next case.
All right. The next case is 20-17 MA. The applicant is Robert F. Fuller. The applicant is looking to rezone property located at 3691 Kennerly Road from rural to general commercial. The parcel acreage is 2.56 acres. Staff's recommendation for this particular request is for disapproval, as again, it is not inconsistent with the objectives of the comprehensive plan. The proposed rezoning does not meet the objectives or desired development pattern of the comp plan for the designation of future land use designation of neighborhood low density. The proposed request permits commercial along with residential and uses of an intensity and scale that will be out of character with the comprehensive plan's recommendations to limit commercial development to activity centers and along within main road corridors within a contextually appropriate distance from the intersection of a primary arterial. Likewise, the GC district allows for uses that are out of context to the character prescribed by the future land use designation. Further, the rezoning request is not in character with the existing residential uses and zoning districts in the immediate area and would constitute leapfrog development. Again, for these reasons, staff recommends disapproval.
Okay, are there any questions for the staff? Price, do you have a statement from the applicant?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chair. So we have a letter from Mr. Fuller. So it says, Commissioners, the application is being pursued specifically to establish a convenience store site similar to the operator store at Wessinger Old Chapin Road. It is not a truck stop or large chain store enterprise. Crossroads is a local small business headquartered in Barnwell that operates community-oriented convenience stores. In each operating locality, the store is an integral part of the neighborhood. By the nature of its customer constituency, Crossroads seeks locations in proximity to residential communities in order to become a part of them. This business is established specifically to provide nearby access to gasoline and convenient shopping opportunities for the benefit of all the neighboring residents. It is not a stepping stone to larger business and commercial presence. It is a standalone site for local convenience. And the staff report. Thank you. The staff report confirms that homes in neighborhoods can be supported by small-scale neighborhood commercial establishments located at primary arterial intersections. This location with frontage on Broad River Road, Kennerly Road, and Freshly Mill Road effectively covers that premise. It is a neighborhood enhancement, not an unwarranted intrusion. We urge your recommendation of approval for this application as a beneficial accommodation to the area. Robert F. Fuller, attorney for the applicant.
Okay. Are there any questions for the staff based on the applicant's statement? Are there any additional comments from the community regarding this case?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So we have a number of different comments that came in, and I'll just start at the top. Let's see. It says, I am highly opposed to the rezoning of the parcel located at the corner of Broad River, Freshly Mill, and Kennerly Road. As a resident living on Pet Sites Road, I see no need to build another gas station / convenience store when there are already 3 within about 2 to 2.5 miles. I believe that this area of Chapin should remain as rural as rural as possible, since that is the reason why we have all moved out here. There are also several large parcels for sale on this stretch of Broad River Road, and I believe any zoning changes will start a snowball effect, which will then lead to even more overcrowding in our district and on our roads. I hope that the board will recommend not to change the zoning. Thank you. And that's Maren Martin. The next one reads, Dear Richland County Planning Commission members, due to the restrictions in place for the COVID-19 pandemic, this memo represents my attendance in response to case number 20-17 MA. We need to keep this land parcel as it is designated in the Richland County Master Development Plan. This proposed rezoning is inconsistent with it. The proposed rezoning does not meet the objectives or the desired development pattern of the comprehensive plan for the neighborhood low density future land use designation. The Planning Commission voted down the previous proposal presented by the owner of the parcel, which is located across the street from this one, for being out of step with the county's master development plan, and there is no reason this time it should be any different. The proposal rezoning would bring additional traffic to this area, which already surpasses the designated capacity according to the 2019 ADT report. We have lived here for 3 years now, and several sections of the Broad River Road between Portrait Hill Drive and West Shady Grove Road have been patched up and repaved several times due to heavy traffic. Adding another commercial business will increase traffic and will also add to the cost of repaving this road. For these reasons, I would like to vote no to this rezoning proposal. And that was Jeannie Porter. And
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Porter.
then our next comment is, with regard to the subject rezoning action, my wife and I support the Planning Commission and staff's recommendation to disapprove the zoning change. Although we live at 150 River Oaks Road, approximately 4 miles from the site, and are not immediately affected by this action, we do pass by it frequently. The area around this intersection is currently one of very few places in the area actively used for agricultural uses. We think it would be a travesty to further reduce the amount of productive agricultural land in this part of Richland County just to allow another convenience store / gas station. Thank you for your consideration of our comments, and that's Ralph and Beth Pearson.
Thank you.
Backside. All right, our next one says, Dear Planning Commission, I strongly oppose the rezoning from rural to commercial the property at the intersection of Freshly Mill Road and Highway 176. I've lived less than 2 miles from this location for over 20 years and have endured daily the slow death of this rural community, noise, pollution, light pollution, increased traffic resulting in dangerous situations when trying to turn onto Broad River Road from side streets, increased crime, deteriorating roads, and destruction of natural habitats. This community is struggling to remain rural, does not need another gas station when there are others close by. There have been blatant disregard for previous decisions to keep the community zone rural. This fact alone is a disgrace and plain wrong. On Monday, June 1st, I beg you, please, to pause, then consciously vote in support of those living in this community and keep the zoning rural. And it's concerned resident Lauren Darnell. The next comment is, to the Planning Commission members, my family has lived in the Spring Hill community for the past 28 years. And one of the main reasons we love living in this part of Richland County is because of the open spaces and lack of commercial business. We have seen changes, 3 new schools and more neighborhoods, but the fields and the farms remain. We are very opposed to any change in zoning for the property at Freshly Mill Road and Highway 176. There's a convenience store and gas station at the corner of Highway 76 and Mount Vernon Church Road. 2 other gas stations and convenience stores are located at I-26 and Peak Interchange. We feel that changing the zoning at this property would only start a zoning change at other properties for sale on Highway 176. We have been to a meeting earlier in the year requesting a change of zoning very close to this property that is requesting the change at Planning Commission on Monday, June 1st. Please consider this request when making your decision. We do not want to lose our green fields. Respectfully, James and Elizabeth Smith. And our next comment, it says, Dear Richland County Planning Commission members, please vote no, 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 absolutely no on the proposed zoning change in the Spring Hill section of Richland County. There is absolutely no need for commercial businesses in this area. This is residential and rural. And there are farms and horses within a stone's throw. Think of the future damage to the area. We need rural areas. There's way too much urban sprawl as it is. And besides, the infrastructures would not be able to handle it. Folks live here because they do not want to live in suburbia. Leave this area alone. Leave it as is. It was zoned RU for a reason. It cannot go to GC, period. Case closed. I am begging you to vote no. Yes, I am passionate about it. Karen Larrabee. All right. Our next comment is please say no to the zoning request number 20-17 MA. The site needs to stay rural and not be changed to general commercial. The citizens do not want commercial there. Please keep this rule. If you allow this against what the citizens want for the community, then you are not upholding your purpose or the purpose of Richland County's comprehensive plan. If you allow this, you are putting all of the teenage drivers at risk at the schools across the street and adding more issues. This would also set a precedent to allow even more development. This is rule for a reason. Keep it that way. Thank you. Charlie Wessinger. Our next citizen comment is once again, someone is trying to change this area to general commercial. This is ridiculous. The citizens living in this area want no part of this. We have already made that known. When something is zoned for rural, it should stay that way for a reason. We choose to live in a rural area for that reason. If this person wants to build apartments in a gas station, then they should have found a commercial area to build in. The law shouldn't be a change to accommodate someone who can't do their homework. We don't want this in our backyards. More people equals more crime. There is already enough in urban. We don't want any more. And that's Amber Blosdale. And I apologize if I butcher anyone's name. Our next comment is, I'm writing concerning the request of the property between Broad River, Freshly Mill Road, and Kennerly Roads. This parcel of land is to be discussed June 1st. I'm definitely against the rezoning request due to the fact this land has been zoned rural in the master plan and therefore should remain rural and not change to general commercial. We have a master plan for a reason and should abide by it. And that's Kay Conaway. And our next comment is, I am emailing you because of the proposed rezoning for the property at 3691 Freshly Mill Road. I would like to bring a few issues to your attention. People move out to what they believe to be country for a reason, where it's quiet and peaceful with minimal amounts of noise, not for the hustle of crowds and the crowding of businesses right under their noses. I don't want, nor do I need, another convenience store anywhere close to the mentioned area. There are several within a few miles already. Walmart, Food Line, Pit Stop, Exxon, etc., just to name a few. Plus, the county already has plenty of empty buildings where a store could be placed, and that would be using up an abandoned building that are eyesores all over the county. I want my neck of the woods to stay country. You talked about the roads in the traffic characteristics section, no plan or programmed improvements of any of these roads. Well, let me tell you, Broad River Road, especially in this particular area, has been resurfaced multiple times and needs it again from I-26 to the Newberry County line. If you don't dodge the craters in the road, then about once a month, your tires will need aligning. And under the parcel area characteristics, with mention of the sidewalks and streetlights across Broad River are sidewalks to the schools and lights that are on school property, but no streetlights or sidewalks anywhere where this proposed convenience store is planned. The only lights in that intersection are traffic lights. This area will change for the worse, just like other locations in Richland County, and not by the people who live in the area, but the ones that don't. Within time, Richland County deputies will have to start working security at the location because of the late hours it will stay open, and that brings out people at night who have no concern for the community and only trash it. That has happened in the best of areas. Please do us all a favor and deny this rezoning request and help do something about the abandoned building that are still of good use. Please, please, please fix Broad River roads so no more of my high-paying tax dollars are wasted on any more redos. And the companies that do shoddy work should be held accountable. Thank you for letting me tell about my thoughts and feelings on this matter. Connie Smith. All right, and then our next one is Dear Richland County Planning Commission, I write to oppose proposed rezoning request in case number 20-17 MA. I understand that the subject property is owned by the same applicants for case 19047, Terrell Tootin or his company Crossroads Convenience, which the commission unanimously opposed at its December 2nd, 2019 meeting. The request in that case was to rezone a parcel of property, the northwest corner of Broad River Road and Freshly Mill Road, from rural to GC. The commission recommended rejecting that application because it was inconsistent with the county's comprehensive plan. The same is true of this new application. The subject property is on the other side of Freshly Mill Road at the northeast corner of the same intersection, and thus the fundamental issues remain the same. The proposal is inconsistent with the county's comprehensive plan and should be rejected. Attached, please find the petition that was submitted against the prior rezoning proposal. There was not sufficient time for me to organize another petition, so I'm resubmitting the prior one since the issues are virtually identical. Please consider the widespread opposition to change the fundamental character of the Spring Hill community embodied by this petition. Respectfully, Matthew Gerald.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to comment regarding that, the most recent comments that Mr. DeLage read. You were all given or emailed the petition that Mr. Gerald is referencing. So you should have received that petition that he referenced.
Mm-hmm. We did. Yes.
Okay. Mr. DeLage.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All right, so our next comment is, Dear Richland County Planning Commissioner, we want to express my opposition to the rezoning request for case 2017 from rural to general commercial. Under the Richland County Comprehensive Plan, this area is designated rural large tract and bordering neighborhood low density. We ask that you abide by the comprehensive plan and leave this parcel of land rural. Thank you, Kevin and Sharon France. The next comment is, please consider voting no on the rezoning. There is already considerable traffic on Highway 176. The traffic from schools in Portrait Hill has increased greatly over the past 2 to 3 years. Commercial trucks frequently use Highway 176 as a bypass to get around the weight stations and greatly increase heavy loads on Highway 176. The highway is already deteriorated and has had to have 2 repairs within the last year. It took forever to get the job done because the damage, which caused damage to our cars, tied up traffic, and is not completely repaired. There's still potholes and erosion to the road that once again, they will wait until it's almost impassable for they attempt to fix the road one more time. With the construction beginning on 126, Highway 176 will be heavily trafficked because it will become the bypass around the construction. Truckers will continue to use highway as avoiding construction, which will add to heavy loads on 176. Coon Road was shut down and has to be repaired because of illegal truckload on the road. Adding general commercial to this area will further cause damage to our road environment. If the information is correct, the gentleman that is providing the rezoning does not live in the area. Please vote no for rezoning. Linda Hayward. I apologize, Mr. Chairman, just getting a couple more comments in here and getting them.
Well, take your time. No worries. You're doing a great job staying under the 2-minute limit.
All right, Mr. Chairman. All right. So we would like to continue. We got a few more in here. So but we would like to thank you for your time and attention on several concerns we have about this possible zoning change. This is a somewhat rural area, and we would like for it to remain that way. We moved to this area as the environment we want to raise our families in. We do tell you, or what do you tell a 5-year-old child when they ask you where are all the trees going and where all the birds live now? The roads on this section of Broad River Road are unimaginable. The asphalt is literally flaking off the road and forming craters in the roadway. SCDOT attempted to patch a small area a couple months ago, but have not returned to make any more repairs since then. Needless to say, the holes are getting worse. Traffic on this 2-lane road continues to grow every day. What used to be 10-minute commute from my home to the peak exit a couple years ago now takes at least 20 minutes, and I'm only 7 miles from I-26. This area's main source of water is wells. It is a major concern of ours that some of these wells could become contaminated from underground gas tanks. Unfortunately, these environmental accidents are undetected only after the damage has been done and cannot always be corrected. There are already 6 convenience stores within a 5-mile radius of the proposed site. There are 2 at the Peak exit and 3 at the Chapin exit and 1 at the White Rock end of Mount Vernon Church Road. We think the convenience store business is already well represented in this area. We have a major concern about traffic flow. This section of Broad River Road and Spring Hill High School is directly across this 2-lane highway from the proposed site, and Chapin Middle School is less than 1.5 mile down the road. Between morning traffic, school traffic, and just the regular day-to-day traffic, we're not sure if this area will be able to handle the congestion. Will there be some sort of traffic study done before the zoning change is considered? We understand that there are those who want all the conveniences near them, but there are also those that want to live in a quiet, uncongested area. Once all the trees are gone, they will be gone along with the birds. Robert Huff.
Okay.
And then our next comment is, as residents of the Spring Hill community, I'd like to express my concerns over the proposed commercial development at the corner of Freshly Mill and Broad River Roads. This corner is a high traffic area that serves 3 school zones, Spring Hill High's Center for Advanced Technical Studies and Chapin Middle. In addition, thousands of cars travel these roads each day due to the high number of homes off Broad River. Our roads are already in terrible condition. Our traffic is high. Most importantly, our children walk to school in this area. Increased traffic due to commercial development puts the lives of our children and families in jeopardy. In addition, this development does not agree with the Richland County Master Development Plan and should not be considered. As my elected official, thank you for listening to my concerns. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. Brandon and Michelle Foster. All right, and then our next comment, I would like to voice my opposition for the zoning change for the parcel of land at the intersection of Freshly Mill and Broad River Road. The zoning proposal is in direct opposition to the county's master plan for development. It is not in alignment with the master plan and Broad River Road and cannot support any additional development at this time. Sincerely, Meredith Hall. And then our next one, I am writing this email to ask you to disapprove the owner's request to rezone the property to GC. We met in December 2019 on a similar request to rezone the property across Freshly Mill Road from this to GC, and it was finally withdrawn after the community voiced their opposition to the Richland County building, as we will have to live with the impact of the change. We have over the last number of years had the school district build 3 different schools in the same area, and a large subdivision has also built in the same area. The congestion increased tenfold in that area with very little improvement to the roads to handle the increased volume. There are convenience stores in the White Rock and Peak exit that are close enough to handle our needs. There's also a full grocery store food line at the Peak exit. This type of business will only create added congestion and problems due to high school students making a quick stop before going across the street to school. Please follow your staff's recommendations and disapprove the request and keep the land zoned RU. Thank you for hearing our concerns, Gary and Joanne Brucker. All right, our next comment is, I would like to express my opposition to the zoning change listed above. This property has been in farmland for years and we're losing that commodity rapidly. It grew cotton last year. I've lived in Spring Hill since 1971 and have watched the surrounding deteriorating from rural to residential to other classifications. I do not believe it would be in the best interest of Richland County or local citizens to make this change. This will just make 176 look more like 76 from Irma to Chapin eventually. Traffic is bad enough on 176, and having another turnoff here would be dangerous. I understand that it might be a convenience or gas store. There are several of those close by without opening another. Once the property gets to GC status, its use could change to anything permitted by the county in the GC area, and we would have to no say in that decision. I use well water, as do most rural residents nearby, and I'm concerned with the water table contamination. My dad's well is at 3600 Kennelly Road. Respectfully, yours, Andrew Boone. All right, our next comment is, my name is Megan Luck. I live approximately 1 mile from the site. I have many concerns from this proposed zoning change. First, the infrastructure in this area cannot handle commercial properties. There are 3 schools on this stretch of road, as well as subdivisions. Adding commercial properties will only increase the amount of traffic in the area where the roads are already in poor condition. The traffic in this area is crazy in the mornings and afternoons when school is in session. There are many inexperienced teen drivers, and I feel that opening up this area to commercial growth from these schools would be irresponsible. I also worry about the kids crossing Broadway Road, possibly on foot, to get in this area after school or on their lunch break. Second, I don't believe the proposed zoning change follows the county's future land use plan. This area is designated as rural, large lot, and low density neighborhood. Commercial properties do not fit into the landscape of the area. Lastly, this area is rural with many small farms, properties with livestock, and homes on acreage. We live in this area because we enjoy being further from conveniences in exchange for the quiet country feel. If we wanted commercial properties conveniently located down the street, we would have moved to a different area of town where these properties already exist. Thank you for taking the time to hear my concerns about this proposed zoning change, and I hope you will consider them when making this decision. All right, and then the next one is, good morning. I'm writing to express my opposition to the zoning change for RU to GC for case 2017 or 3691 Kennelly Road. Here are the specific reasons for not approving.
Mr. Chair, I'll
Are we losing Tommy?
Let's see. I
Hello?
don't have any indication on my end about the okay. Can you hear me? I was told that I was going in and out.
I can hear you always.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Price is gonna read the next few.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay, I think kind of pick up, I think, where you were left off, Tommy. Good morning. I am writing to express my opposition to the zoning change from rural to general commercial for case 20-17, 3691 Kennerly Road. Here are specific reasons for not approving this zone change request. Richland County staff recommends disapproval. Heed staff advice. Richland County staff comments, the proposed rezoning does not meet the objectives or desired development pattern of the comprehensive plan for the neighborhood low-density future land use designation. The proposed request permits commercial along with residential uses of an intensity and scale that would be out of character with the comprehensive plan's recommendations to limit commercial development to activity centers and along within main road corridors within a contextually appropriate distance from the intersection of a primary arterial. Likewise, the GC district allows for uses that are out of context to the character prescribed by the future land use designation. Further, the rezoning request is not in character with the existing residential uses and zoning districts in the immediate area and would constitute leapfrog development. For these reasons, staff recommends disapproval of the map amendment, page 59, Planning Commission agenda. 2, request is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. Future land use map shows this parcel to be squarely in the rural large lot category. For Appendix C to comprehensive plan and page 30 of comprehensive plan. Active working lands such as farms and forests and large lot rural residential development are the primary forms of development that should occur in rural large lot areas. Residential development should occur on very large individually owned lots or as family subdivisions. Master plan, smaller lot subdivisions are not an appropriate development type in rural large lot areas. These areas are not appropriate for providing public wastewater service unless landowners are put at risk by failing septic tanks. Primary land uses, crop and animal production uses, forestry, single-family detached houses on individual large lots, secondary land uses, animal and crop production support services, agritourism uses, produce stands, veterinary services, places of worship, and rotting stables. Page 2, Richland County has a long working lands legacy. Working lands in Richland County today include those used for agricultural, horticultural, and forestry activities. The county will support the continued viability of these operations. Page 21, citizens' input suggests strong interest to protect the unique rural character in Richland County, as evidenced by polling feedback provided at the July 2014 Community Choices Workshop. The challenge is to maintain this uniquely rural character in a way that upholds private property interests. Page 22, another challenge to maintaining farming in the county is encroachment by development. And as land is developed around the edges of prime agricultural lands, it can become more and more difficult to maintain farming operations. 3, Planning Commission is required to consider 26-52E1 review. All proposed amendments shall be submitted to the Planning Commission for study and recommendation. The Planning Commission shall study each proposal to determine A, the need and justification for the change. No specific need or justification for this request rooted entirely in desire to increase the value of the land. B, when pertaining to a change in the district classification of the property, the effect of the changes, if any, on the property and any surrounding properties. Surrounding properties are all rural. Rezoning will increase service demands, road traffic, infrastructure demands, infrastructure demands. Rezoning will create safety hazards for schools. When pertaining to a change in the district classification of the property, the amount of land in the general area having the same district classification as that being requested. GC classification is not relevant in this rural area. D, the relationship of the proposed amendment to the purposes of the general planning program with appropriate consideration as to whether the proposed change will further the purposes of this chapter and the purposes of the comprehensive plan. Inconsistent with comprehensive plan. Respectfully submitted, Jenny Boulware. Next time I'll time myself, if you don't mind.
That's perfectly fine.
The next comment is from Tyler Boulware of 164 Backacres Road. I am writing to state my opposition to the rezoning change from rural to general commercial for case 20-17, 3691 Kennelly Road. This area is zone rural. The Richland County Planning staff already disapproved this rezoning change request because it did not adhere to the Planning Commission's own comprehensive plan for the area. It seems the Anderson Oil Company and its LLC Crosswords Convenience based out of Barnwell, South Carolina, spent $500,000 in 2018 to establish a commercial business or businesses at this site. But I ask that the Planning Commission follow its own recommendations for land development in the Spring Hill District and dismiss this zoning change request. For specific arguments as to why this request should be rejected, please refer to your own comprehensive plan document. Again, that was from Tyler Boulware. Next comment, I am writing in opposition to rezoning 3641 Kennelly Road, tax map 01700-06-05 from rural to general commercial. I live slightly more than 1 mile from the property, and I travel on Broad River Road by the property twice almost every day. There are several reasons why this property should maintain its current zoning as rural. First of all, Richland County staff has recommended that the rezoning request be disapproved, and I believe we should rely on their advice and expertise. All the surrounding property is zoned rural. There is no need for commerce at this location because people are content to drive a few miles to the I-26 interchange at the peak exit or to travel I-26 to nearby areas to obtain their goods and services. I would like to express a few more points of concern. First, the Spring Hill / White Rock Fire Station mentioned in the staff report as the one nearest to the property is manned only by volunteers when needed. The Irmo Station is the nearest manned station. Second, this section of Broad River Road already exceeds average daily traffic counts by 17%. Also, the section of Broad River Road from the property located to the peak exit of I-26 has been crumbling and in disrepair for a number of years. Portions have been patched on several occasions, and there are patches on top of patches in several areas. The sections of Broad River Road cannot adequately handle the current traffic level and certainly cannot handle an additional traffic load resulting from commercial development. Another concern is that I and nearby residences depend on well water. If this property is rezoned to commercial, that will make it available for development as a gas station with underground storage tanks. Sometimes these underground storage tanks leak and contaminate nearby groundwater, rendering well water unsafe for consumption. In closing, I respectfully request that you vote to recommend disapproval of any rezoning of this property. Please keep it zoned as rural. Respectfully submitted, Judy Horrenda. Next comment. Please vote against the rezoning of the Kennelly Road area. My family lives on Canterfield and Freshly Mill Road, and we own a family farm. There are many other families in this area that have a farm or livestock, and keeping this area as designated rural area is a must in order to maintain this livelihood. There is no need for a gas station in this area, as there is a gas station just over a mile away in White Rock and another at the interstate. This rezoning will cause this area to become more congested and in time would allow for more development to take place. This is not what my family and I would like to see happen in this area, and we strongly oppose it. As a member of this community and area, I would encourage you all to vote no to this change. Regards, Eddie and Gail Epting, Kevin and Kayla, I think it's Ferris. The next comment. Please allow me to introduce myself. Currently, I am the Food Services and Branding Manager for Anderson Oil. Prior to taking this position and leaving education, I was a science teacher at Chapin Middle School for 6 years. I am also a parent that has 2 children go to Chapin Middle School and Spring Hill High School. I am for the commercial rezoning, and these are my reasons why a convenience store would add value. First, the store will be aesthetically pleasing. The layout is very similar to Palmetto Roads in Chapin, and it is beautiful. There will also be a full kitchen with catering and healthy food options. Please see the pictures below of Palmetto Roads. Second, it will add a tremendous amount of convenience for parents, students, and teachers. Parents that have to drop students off at multiple schools will not have to travel out of their way to get fuel or feel it's rushed in the morning, afternoon. There are also many students that travel to the center and have to drive out of the way for necessities. I know when my son attended Spring Hill High School, he would have to rush to make it to practice for baseball at Dutch Fork. As a growing, always hungry teenage boy, he would drive out of his way to get something to eat prior to practice or fuel. I would have worried less for him to have an option closer to the school. I know many teachers that want a nice convenience store next to the school. I would be more than happy to provide signatures if we had more time. Lastly, Anderson Oil is not an average convenience store operator. We take a lot of pride in partnering with the local community. Please see our Facebook page. Just recently, we gave $2,500 to local schools for their math and science programs. We have 2 spirit pumps. One spirit pump gives 1 cent per gallon to support the arts in Barnwell. The other spirit pump gives 2 cents per gallon to support sports for Hampton High School. We also annually support Estill and Hampton Police Department. We value education and being a partner in the community. Thank you for your consideration in zoning this plot commercial. I know the Chapin community and understand the reservation, but the benefits would add incredible value. Sincerely, Melissa, I believe it's Discu. Again, like as Mr. DeLay said, we apologize for any mispronunciation of any names. Next case. I am opposed to this proposed rezoning. As an adjacent landowner and resident of this area, I need to express my concerns. Following is a list of facts I think should be considered. Disruption of large wooded area. Incomplete use of existing housing development in the area. Adverse effect on area wildlife. Lack of existing essential services. Proposed density of housing not similar to area properties. Increased risk of flooding and erosion due to natural flow disruption. Stephen Krolowitz. I apologize for that last comment. That last one, that was actually intended for the case that was deferred, so that should not have been included with this. I apologize for that. The next one, please vote against the rezoning of the Kennelly Road area. My family has lived less than 2 miles from this area for over 27 years, and we do not need more congestion. There's enough traffic during business hours in this area due to Spring Hill High School and surrounding neighborhoods. Adding commercial property would cause more delays and headaches. There are plenty of gas stations and shopping areas near this property. Adding another gas station would allow for more crime to enter our area. We have many friends in this area who rely on this land for farming as their livelihood. The unnecessary pollution would be detrimental to their business. As a member of this community, I strongly urge you to vote no to this change. Thank you for your consideration. Jesse Bickley. Next comment. It has come to my attention that a request has been submitted to rezone property at 3691 Kennelly Road, tax map 1700-06-05 from rural to general commercial. I understand that the PDSD recommendation is to disapprove this request. I agree wholeheartedly with this recommendation. This is a rural community of single-family homes. This property is also next to 2 schools. Converting this property to commercial use would be out of character for this area and would open the door to further commercial development, changing forever the nature of this community. Please disapprove this request. Sincerely, Diana Diaz. Next comment. I trust my email will find you all well and staying safe in this crazy season we are currently living in. I want to first and foremost thank you for your service to our great country and state. I would normally be there this afternoon as I was last year. However, we are in crazy times for sure. My name is Clifford J. Corley Jr., and I live at 211 Holiday Road, Chapin, South Carolina, 29036. I would like to express my opposition to this rezoning request. I have lived out there for 12 years and love this area, and love the nature of where I live. I know the development will happen, and I am for growth in a community. However, before we start building small commercial buildings that will house new business, we desperately need to have the roads and infrastructure to handle the traffic. The roads are already overwhelmed with the new school and residential development. Please do not allow this rezoning at this time. I think of the problem we have with Hardscrabble Road right now. We do not need that to happen here. Again, I appreciate your service to our community and wish you the very best moving forward. Sincerely, Cliff Corley. Next comment. As the owner of Anderson Oil, I would like to make you aware of my intentions. My sole interest in this property is to build a beautiful convenience store that will provide a service to the local community. The layout will be similar to Palmetto Roads in Chapin. It will be welcoming and have a friendly atmosphere. It will be well illuminated and have over 30 cameras where customers will always feel safe. We are a good neighbor and will support local schools and welcome community feedback. I feel there may have been some miscommunication in my intentions when the property was purchased. I want to be very clear that my only goal is to build a second to none convenience store. I have absolutely no interest in building apartments, condominiums, or other types of housing. The additional land that was purchased is strictly to restrict competition. Chapin is a proud community with high expectations. I plan to meet or exceed these expectations and provide a needed convenience. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Terrell Chilton. Next comment. Please accept this correspondence as my public comment in opposition to the rezoning request set forth in case 20-17 MA. I respectfully implore the Commission to adopt the recommendation of Staff Council and deny the rezoning request. The rezoning request to GC from rural is inconsistent with the character of the area and is also contrary to the land development plan adopted by Richland County. Indeed, this commission recently made a recommendation to deny a similar request to rezone the tract directly across from the parcel in question. The circumstances of the area have to change to justify a departure from the prior recommendation of this commission. The commission should continue its consistent and appropriate treatment of requests to rezone from rural to GC in this area and deny the present request for rezoning. As very appropriately noted in the Staff Council report, the present rezoning request constitutes leapfrog development. Indeed, recommending the County Council that the present rezoning request be granted is simply the first step down a slippery slope of rezoning, which is inconsistent with the character of the area. The Commission is charged with making recommendations to County Council, which serves the interests of all residents of Richland County, and not just the interest of a single investor or landowner. The staff report also indicates that the traffic volume on I-176 significantly exceeds the present design capacity, and SCDOT has no funds allocated to this area for improvement. It is without question that granting the present request will require adjustments to the roads in this area. As such, the rezoning request would require the diversion of funds from other areas in Richland County for which funds for road improvements have been allocated. It is improper to reallocate funds from identified areas of need in Richland County to facilitate a rezoning request that is inconsistent with the surrounding area. For these reasons, and those articulated in the staff report, I respectfully request the Commission recommend to County Council that the rezoning request be denied. Thank you. Jason Pittman, Canterfield Road. And those are all of the comments that staff had.
Well, thank you, Mr. Price and Mr. Tomei, for reading off those comments. You know, it's always important that we spend time listening to the community when they're wanting to be engaged in our efforts here. And so we certainly appreciate the staff taking time to read us those comments. I'm assuming those are all the comments we have. Are there any questions for the staff? Any motions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I don't have any questions, but I do have some comments.
Okay.
In a way, I just feel like the current application is almost the opposite of the 2-notch road parcel that we just discussed and voted on earlier. Lots and lots of comments from the public, and you know, they may not use certain terminology, but they are all justified and important as far as the appropriate things that we would factor in an analysis of the application. When it comes to the need and the justification, lots of comments are made about convenience stores being not that far away, and you know, development is not that far away. I'm very familiar with the area, and it is an interesting area. It's still maintained a lot of its integrity as a as a rural and an agricultural area, despite development being just a couple of miles away. And, the effect on the property, on surrounding properties, if it were to be rezoned, again, you have schools nearby, and then you just have nearby agricultural fields and large tracts of timber, wooded lands as well. And the amount of land in the general area having that same district classification, it would really be an island of a commercial zoning designation and an otherwise ocean of non-commercial parcels of land. And again, as it relates to the comprehensive plan, with the intent for any sort of commercial development in an area with a growth designation for low density neighborhood, those things need to take place in the neighborhood activity center, which is not where this is located. It's the nearest one's a few miles away. So certainly nothing against the applicant or their intentions to one day build a convenience center that's pretty with nice employees. Those are just not usually the kinds of things that are appropriate for us to consider when it comes to a question of whether or not we should amend our zoning map. And the issues with Broad River Road operating as it is at level of service E, meaning unstable flow that's subject to danger in the event of a disruption of the traffic flow because it's already operating at capacity. Those are all just appropriate considerations, and I don't see a way to justify anything otherwise. And so I'm open to additional discussion, but I would make a motion that we send this to council with a recommendation of disapproval.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Bradman. Were there any other comments? There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second that we send case number 20-017 MA4 to council with staff recommendation of disapproval. Any additional discussion? If not, all in favor signify by raising your hand.
Yeah, excuse me, Mr. Chair. I think it's been suggested to me, if you don't mind, we would just do this by roll call because we have a couple of members who are not, where I can see their hands raised.
That's fine. So,
Okay,
we'll do by roll call.
All right.
So all in favor?
Dennis?
Hold on.
Grady?
Yep, there we go.
I think Mr. Grady is muted.
Sorry, yes, aye.
I'll come back to Carnes.
Yes.
Yonke?
Yes.
Branham?
Aye.
Taylor?
Aye.
Gilchrist?
Aye.
Frierson? Carlisle?
Aye.
Okay. That, everyone voted along with the motion, Mr. Chair?
Has everyone voted?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anybody opposed? Okay. Well, then we'll send this to council with the recommendation of disapproval. Again, council will meet on June the 23rd via Zoom at that time, and the applicant is welcome to come back at that time to share any additional observations from this case. Okay. That's it. That's all amendments map amendments I have on my agenda. Any additional business?
I don't have any at this time. Maybe Mr. DeLage or Mr. Crook, do y'all have any other business regarding the land development code rewrite?
I was, Mr. Price, Mr. Crooks, I was going to ask the commission, I know in our work session that we had with you all, y'all mentioned wanting to potentially have another conversation or take up a conversation at another point. I wanted to get clarification from you all if y'all had thought about that anymore, and if there was any agreement, thoughts, feelings in regards to wanting to have more specific conversations, or if y'all had any more pointed comments or questions as it related to the land development code.
Mr. Chair, I got one question or comment.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Brown.
I'm just still wondering about the reduced number of postings of the, when a map amendment application has been made, when the property is posted. What is the justification behind reducing the number of signs that would be placed on a property? Currently, you got to place a sign every 300 feet is the general rule, and the amendment is proposing to place them once every 1,000 feet.
Still muted. I'm not sure about that, Mr. Branham. I will take a look, and we will pose that question to the consultant as well and get an answer back to you. I think, if I remember correctly, part of the intent was having to deal with, I think, just based on the number of postings to the length of the way, but I will get a clarification and get that sent back to you.
Thanks. And then there's one other thing, that the hiding or tampering of those posted notices being a code violation, is there any sort of penalty in the ordinance for committing that violation? What would happen if you violated that? That's in 26-2.4 H2B3.
Give me just a second and I'll take a look.
And that's just in the spirit of public, notice of the commission's business. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are you guys still looking at that, Jill?
Yes, sir. Give me just a second.
Mr. Chairperson,
Okay.
Mr. Gilchrist,
Yes, Ms. Richland.
I apologize. On the last vote, I voted, but I don't know if you all could see it or not. I typed it in. Did you all record it?
I think the staff captured the vote.
I could not hear you.
I said I think the staff may have captured that vote.
Okay.
I can't see it, but when I think they may have captured that on their end.
Okay. I voted with everyone else to disapprove of map amendment 20-017.
Okay, very good. And they didn't.
Thank you.
Reflective in the, as you bet. While you guys are looking at that, I do want to say to the staff, thank you for organizing the meeting and for all the commissioners that not only attended the briefing on the code rewrite, but commented on that. And I certainly think based upon not only the comments that were made during that meeting, but the opportunity to be able to get some clarity on concerns that or the observations that commissioners may have had, that we need to do that, in particular for some of the newer commissioners. And so, Mr. Crooks, it might be worth just getting with the consultants and seeing if they can send to us some dates that they can be available. And we try to give us a few weeks to try to work around a work session, given kind of what's happening, this COVID thing, to set up something to meet with us.
Yes, sir. And we will reach out to them and see what we can do. And if it's one of the things where if we can't have the consultants, we as staff will definitely try to facilitate something as well, especially as it relates to any particular sections of the new code or questions or comments again that y'all have. And then in relation to Mr. Graham's question as it relates to those penalties, I believe that's going to be found in Article 8, so 26-8 enforcement. It would be what that section is, specifically 26-8.6 C, penalties. So it's, I think, the same general penalties that would otherwise apply. So those found within those sections.
I can get off of this right here.
That helpful, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Crooks.
Yes, sir.
Any additional comments on the other business staff?
No, sir.
Well, under the chairman's report, I just want to again thank all of the commissioners for their involvement and attendance during the code rewrite. I also want to take a moment to thank you for organizing the Zoom meeting today. Very different for us, but I think we made it through very well. And, obviously this is something to look forward to in the not too distant future. And we certainly want to thank you for organizing this, certainly in light of the fact that we've not had a commission meeting in a while. And the last thing I just want to say, in a point of personal privilege, is I want to send a humble thank you to not only the commissioners of the Richland County Planning Commission, but the staff of Richland County for reaching out to me and my family during this tough time. For those of you who may not know, we lost our home 2 Fridays ago to a fire, and it was completely destroyed. We lost pretty much everything. Everybody was safe, so we didn't lose each other, which was the most important thing. But we can't thank the community enough for the outpouring of support that our family has received during this tough time. We're going to make it through fine, and everybody's going to be okay. But it certainly makes it a lot more bearable when there are folk like you who extend the type of support you have to me and my family. So I just want to say that to the county and to the commission. Thank you so much for that support. And please keep all of us in your prayers, because we're going to need those most important as we continue to move forward. So that's all I have on the planning director's report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. The planning director's report is the actions taken at the last zoning public hearing back in February. And so you'll see those on page 57 of the agenda packet. Otherwise, I don't have anything additional to report. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Please note that on page 57. If there's nothing else to claim our attention on this Zoom meeting today, thank you guys again for attending, and I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Price?
I'm sorry. Just before we adjourn, I know you were thanking staff for, kind of putting together this Zoom meeting. And I know a lot of times, you get to see the primary staff, Tommy, Brian, Clayton, Tina, and myself up front. But I want to make sure we give thanks to those people that probably walked us through this and made this all possible. They're from my IT department. I want to thank Angela Weathersby and Kyle Holzclaw, because they basically, if it wasn't for them, I'm not sure we would have gotten this together. So I just wanted to make sure I acknowledge them, because, they're behind the scenes and not really seen too often, but they really helped us out on this a lot.
Well, absolutely. No, I heard someone chime in a little bit early to give the right direction on what we needed to do. So we certainly appreciate all the staff and for your support on this, and love to have a larger conversation with that team about, how do we continue to make what we do more virtual to the wider public. And I know we've had a conversation about that in the past. So to that staff, thank you again for helping us to get organized here today for a very good meeting. So thank you so much. And with that, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Everybody have a great week, and we will see you soon. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.